let's talk airing down. I have a 4-way valve system. You can see it's got a leader line up the front there, a T with a leader to the rear tires, and then up to this little 4-way connector with a digital gauge and a dump valve. All in, it takes about 5 minutes to air this puppy down. You saw it was running about 55 or so PSI street. Go down to about 18, 20 or so. And the reason you air down is the tire will lay out. It'll get longer, more traction. You know, it can grip with that flexibility. And your tire is your first spring in the suspension, so it's softer. So this truck, leaf spring, 7,000 pound excursion, rides kind of rough. When you air it down, it rides a lot softer out here. And then at the same time, I'll lock in the hubs. These trucks have vacuum hubs, but they don't always like to join the chat. So I just lock the hubs when I'm getting out and doing this. And then we'll do the reverse. These leader lines are long enough for a big truck like this, but I can air it up from the front or the back. Yeah, I'm airing down the tires, bud. And yeah, so we'll keep an eye on this and get it all aired out. All right, let's see what we're... Close enough. Close enough. We're fine. We're not doing nothing crazy. So you can see the tires are bulged out a little bit. You know, they're very much laid down. And sure, you lose a little bit of ride height, but the comfort and the additional grip is all there, you know. And then you can also see it doesn't take advantage of it yet, but it kind of, you know, the sidewall can flex around stuff more and that kind of deal. And it works real well. The only other tip I'll share on these little gauges is it'll stay on if there's air in it, so you always dump it out once you're done. And then what I do is I open up the back here and pull the battery out and flip it around backwards so that it can't turn on. I've had this thing bounce around and turn itself on and kill itself during a run. So when I went to go fill it up, I had no idea. So I had to rob some AAAs out of one of my kids' toys, luckily, to see what my pressure was at and fill the truck back up. So it's a useful tip. Okay, we aired down the previous one, and now it is time to air up. This is a NAPA MAXITRAC dual-piston compressor. It's an Australian company. I think they're all made in China. You can find them all over the place that look roughly like this. Normally there's a big old circuit board and junk there. Tore all that out. We've got a big 12-volt solenoid, high capacity, high amp solenoid, run directly to some 4 AWG cables to feed this thing more power. And then the trigger for the solenoid runs through a pressure switch that shuts the compressor off when it hits 100 PSI, and an on-off switch. Obviously it's off, you wouldn't even hear me if this were running. And then further modified with a stainless braided leader line with a standard air chuck fitting on it. This sheds heat because these lines all get hot because this thing generates heat like mad. And then these cylinders, you open them up, make sure they're all lubed good inside, because sometimes from the factory it's a little dodgy. And then you pop these caps off, drill some holes, and this is motorcycle air filter medium, because it breathes through this little gap that is, I mean, it doesn't breathe. So this just lets it get more air in, more air out, tires fill up faster. Then it's wired to an Anderson connector, which has a resettable 200 amp fuse up here. That way it's an easy plug in. These are idiot proof, you know, you can only plug them in one way. And then the original jumper cables that came off this, jumper cable style, you know, the little have an Anderson on them as well. So then the compressor can connect to any car, and then the excursion can jump a car easily. And then same 4-way air, you can see it's sitting at 20, and we're gonna sit here for about 5 minutes and air it up to about 55, where it was sitting when we started this trip. So we're gonna fire that up and get going.